You work for it. You bleed for it. You trade the finite hours of your life to acquire it. But you don't actually know what it is. You assume that the money in your pocket is a store of value, an anchor in a chaotic world. You are wrong. The money you use is not an object. It is not a commodity. It is not even an asset. It is a hallucination shared by 8 billion people. It is a ghost. And the most terrifying part? That ghost is summoned into existence through a ritual that, if performed by you or me, would be called counterfeiting. We are told that banks are warehouses. You put your money in, they store it, and lend a little bit out. That is the lie they teach in Econ 101. The reality is far darker. The reality is that the warehouse is empty. When you sign a loan, money is not moved from a saver to you. Money is birthed at that exact second. It appears ex nihilo, out of nothing. The bank does not lend you money they have. They create money they don't have simply by typing numbers into a computer. It is the greatest magic trick in the history of human civilization. And like all magic tricks, it relies on one thing: the audience looking the other way. Welcome to the mechanism of the modern world. To understand the scam, we must go back to the 17th century. London, the goldsmiths. These were the men with the strongest safes. Merchants, tired of carrying heavy gold, deposited their coins for safekeeping. In return, they received a receipt, a claim check. The merchants realized something convenient. Why walk back to the vault to retrieve heavy metal when the paper represented the metal? The paper began to circulate as money. The gold sat in the vault, gathering dust. The goldsmiths, the ancestors of modern bankers, noticed a pattern. Rarely did everyone come for their gold at once. So they had an epiphany, a dangerous, profitable epiphany. They began writing receipts for gold that didn't exist. They lent these fake receipts out to borrowers and charged interest on them. They were renting out nothingness. As long as the depositors didn't find out, the goldsmith became rich on interest paid on gold he never owned. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking. The reserve is the tiny amount of real value kept in the vault. The rest? Smoke and mirrors. A confidence game. You would think this fraud would be illegal. It was, until the kings realized they could use it too. Kings need to wage war. War is expensive. They needed the goldsmith's magic money to pay for armies. And so, the crime was legalized. In 1694, the Bank of England was founded. The deal was struck. The bank would create money out of thin air to lend to the government, and the government would tax the citizens to pay the interest. The unholy alliance was born. Fast forward to today. The process has been digitized, sterilized, and hidden behind complex terminology. But the mechanic is identical. Let's walk through the creation of a dollar. When you go to a commercial bank for a mortgage, you imagine the bank takes money from a grandmother's savings account and gives it to you. That is a myth. The bank is not an intermediary. The bank creates the $500,000 by typing it in. It is a double-entry bookkeeping trick. They create a liability, the deposit in your account, and an asset, your promise to pay it back. The money supply of the economy just increased by $500,000. Money is debt. If everyone paid off their debts tomorrow, every dollar in existence would cease to exist. There would be no money left. Think about that. The currency requires debt to exist. This system has a built-in flaw, a fatal math error. The bank creates the principal amount of the loan, but they do not create the interest required to pay it back. If the total money supply is $100 and the bank demands $105 back, where does the extra $5 come from? It doesn't exist. It has to be created by new loans. This creates a mathematical imperative for perpetual growth. We must borrow more this year than last year just to pay the interest on the old debt. It is a Ponzi scheme encoded into the laws of mathematics. This is why the economy must grow forever. Not because we need more stuff, but because the monetary system demands it to prevent collapse. We are destroying the planet to service a ledger. But who controls the commercial banks? Who is the puppet master? Enter the central bank, the Federal Reserve. Neither federal nor has any reserves. The ultimate magic trick happens here. It's called open market operations. It sounds boring on purpose. They want you to be bored so you don't ask questions. Step 1. The government spends more than it taxes. It has a deficit. To fill the hole, the Treasury prints an IOU called a bond. This is a promise to pay future tax money to whoever holds the paper. Step 2. The Federal Reserve buys that bond. But where does the Fed get the money to buy it? It doesn't have it. It writes a check against an account with a balance of 0. When that check clears, poof, new base money is created. The government gets its cash to wage war or fund programs, and the Fed gets the bond. The public gets the bill in the form of inflation. Since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, the U.S. dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. This isn't an accident. It is the feature. Inflation is a hidden tax. When they print new money, the value of the money in your savings account is diluted. They are stealing your labor, not by taking it from your pocket, but by shrinking the ruler they use to measure it. They call it quantitative easing, liquidity injection, stimulus. These are euphemisms for counterfeiting. If you do it, you go to jail. If they do it, they win a Nobel Prize in economics. The final tether to reality was cut on August 15, 1971, the Nixon shock. Until that day, foreign governments could trade their paper dollars for gold. Countries like France knew the U.S. was printing more paper than it had gold. They called the bluff. They wanted the metal. Nixon, faced with a default, closed the window. From that moment, money became fiat. Latin for let it be done. It is money by decree. It has no value other than the violence of the state that enforces its use. This unleashed the financial sector. Without the constraint of gold, debt exploded. Derivatives, futures, swaps. A casino built on a foundation of sand. In 2008, the bluff was almost called again. The toxic debt nearly imploded the world. The solution? Print more. Print faster. They patched the hole in the hull by making the ship heavier. We are now in the endgame. The debt is so high that interest rates cannot rise without bankrupting the government. You feel it, don't you? The cost of living, the rent, the groceries. You are told it's supply chains or corporate greed. While those play a role, the root cause is the dilution of the currency. You are running faster just to stay in the same place. This is the Cantillon effect. The new money goes to the banks and government first. By the time it trickles down to you, prices have already risen. What happens when the music stops? When the exponential math of compound interest collides with the finite resources of a physical planet? History is littered with the corpses of fiat currencies, the denarius, the assignat, the Reichsmark. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is 27 years. The US dollar is an outlier. It is living on borrowed time. The architects of this system know it is failing. Their solution is the next trap. Central bank digital currencies. Programmable money. If money is currently a ghost, CBDCs are a poltergeist. They will have the power to dictate not just if you can spend, but what you can spend it on. It is the ultimate control of the ledger. The money isn't real, but the debt is. The debt is the chain that binds the nation, the corporation, and the individual to the will of the banking cartel. Real value is labor. Real value is energy. Real value is creativity. The banking system is a parasite that feeds on these things, disguising its extraction as a service. The ledger always balances, eventually. If not by payment, then by default. If not by default, then by inflation. And if not by inflation, then by war. The magic trick is ending. The curtain is falling. The question is not how do we fix the system? The question is, what will you hold when the illusion fades? Don't be the one holding the bag.